Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I'm going to be talking about books that are sad, books that'll make you cry, books that'll burrow into your heart and rip it up into 1,000 pieces and you'll never forget them. Sometimes we crave books like that. It's very rare for me, but when I find a book like that, I very rarely forget it and I think about it quite often. So I did a whole video of books that I found to be heartwarming, happier books. Well, we're going to the opposite side today. We're going to be sad, crying, all of those feelings. So let's get into it. No, I never like this before. Not talk about books that make you cry without talking about Kristen Hannah. Kristen Hannah books, I've read 3 of them. They're all sad. I dare say there's not a happy Kristen Hannah book. She has found her niche when it comes to sad, depressing books. She's found that and she's won. But either way, any Kristen Hannah book will do to make you cry. My favorite book of all time, The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah. This is about World War II and it's about 2 sisters that are involved with it. And it's got a lot of heartwarming things in it, but it's very sad. It's hard hitting. It is a book you will not forget. This is one of the books that when I was reading it, tears were falling on the page. I can't tell you when that's happened last, this book. So I loved it. My favorite book, I can't get enough of it. Much like The Great Alone, this book takes place in 1974. It's all about a family that goes to Alaska and she's the dark kind of wilderness that is Alaska. And it's, their dad's very abusive and alcoholic and there's just a lot of things going on in this book. And it is, again, a very sad book. But the beautifulness of Alaska really seeps through in this book, it's its own character. But goodness me, this book is all about family and about what you would do for family. Also how some family is not very good. It's toxic, it's scary. It's, the wilderness they're scared of outside their door in Alaska, but maybe it's actually inside their house with their father. So, sad book. Speaking of sad, Firefly Lane. I tried to watch the show, couldn't get into it. This is a book about 2 best friends. They meet in 1974. I mean, that's just her jam, that timeline. Kate and Tully, they become best friends and they go back to the future. And basically it says that for 30 years, they've been there for each other. They think they survived it all until an unexpected betrayal tears them apart and puts their courage and friendship to the ultimate test. This is very sad. There's a sequel to this book and I don't think I'll ever read it because of how sad this one is. Oh, so freaking sad. So, I mean, any Kristen Hannah books will do. They will make you cry. Buckets and buckets of tears. These are all great books. Will I ever reread them again? No. I don't want to go through that heartache again. They were beautiful. Yes. But they were sad as best. Moving on to another sad book, Forever Interrupted by Jenkins Reid. I've read all of her books. I wouldn't say her books are happy-go-lucky, but they're not as sad as this one. This is by far her saddest one. This is all about a character named Elsie who meets this guy named Ben. And they meet and they immediately hit it off. So much so that they get married in 2 weeks and they don't really tell anybody they get married. And then basically 9 days later after getting married, Ben is going to ride his bike out to get groceries and he actually passes away. That's in the book. So this whole book is about Elsie grieving, and she has to meet Ben's mother that she's never met before, that his mom didn't even know that he got married because it all happened so quickly. And this book is all about grieving and understanding grief and just dealing with that. And it's a very sad book. I don't read a lot of books with a lot of death in them. It's sad. But this is probably the saddest Jenkins Reid book. I would probably reread any Jenkins Reid book any day. This is the one I would not because it's of the subject matter. It's just so sad. If you want a book about an epic love story that got interrupted way too soon, this is a great one for you. Another author that is known for sad books is Frederick Backman. Funnily enough, in my heartwarming books video, I recommended A Man Called Uwe, and I really said, look out for this one because it's going to be on my sad books list, and here it is. So this one is both. It is heartwarming, is equally heartwarming, and it's equally sad. This one follows a character named Uwe who's kind of a grumpy old man, and then basically a family moves into him next door that has young children. They befriend him, and he kind of comes out of his shell. We go back in time to see his past, how he met his wife, how he lost his wife, and it's just a beautiful book, and it's a beautifully sad book. It's heartwarming where Uwe comes out of his shell and befriends people, but it's sad because you learn of what he's gone through in his life and why he's closed up to be this way. And I love it. Can't recommend it enough. It's heartwarming, yes, but also sad. It's like Beartown. Beartown is it's a hard-hitting book, majority, but it's also sad. This book is all about a town called Beartown, and they are a very small town in the forest. And basically in this town, like the only thing that's really thriving there is their ice hockey team, like with the high school and things like that, and they do really well with that. And then one day, the town's golden boy, like the ice hockey star, gets accused of rape, and it kind of splits the town in half. And it's a very, like I said, hard-hitting book. These characters, there's some that you're going to read about that you will love, and there's some characters that you want to punch in the face, and there's some characters you want to wrap into a hug because of what they've been through. It is a hard-hitting book with sadness as well, so I highly recommend this one. This might be my favorite. I think this probably is my favorite Frederick Backman book. It's a series. The second book is already out. The third one's coming out this fall, so that is exciting. But I love Beartown, but it is a very intense book, just so you're aware. And the other Frederick Backman book I want to talk about is actually a novella, and that is in Every Day the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. And basically what this book is about, it's a very short book, a novella, like under 150 pages. It's about a grandpa sitting with his grandson on a bench, and he's telling him kind of about his life and how the grandpa is really suffering from dementia, and it's starting to get to him. So he's trying to make sure he remembers all that he can and just bestow it onto his grandson. And oh my gosh, this book will make you sob. Like this novella that's under, like, I want to say it might be even under 100 pages. It will make you cry buckets of tears because of just how beautiful it is, of how sad it is, about how family driven it is. Oh, I can't get over it. I read it many moons ago. I don't own it because just even the thought of looking at it will make me cry. Beautiful book, but it's a beautifully sad book. Like, oh my gosh, so freaking sad. We have Float Plan. This was my favorite book from last year. I went into this book thinking it's gonna be cute. It's gonna be about a boat trip and romance, and boy was I mistaken. This book follows a character named Anna who loses her fiance, and it doesn't tell you, but I feel like it's a good subject matter and good trigger warning to tell you that she loses her fiance to suicide, and she is really struggling with it. And so she decides to honor his memory by taking the boat trip that they always said they were going to take. And so she does just that, but she learns quickly that she is not cut out to do this alone. So she hires this guy named Keen to help her, who has known his way around a boat and things like that. And it's basically about both of their journeys with grief. This book is about her journey physically with going, taking this boat ride, but also within her heart with grieving and, mourning the loss of her fiance. And also maybe there's a relationship that will develop between her and Keen. And I loved it. It's an underrated book. Not enough people talk about it. I loved it. It's a sad book. It'll make you cry.
Hi.
You all right?
And then I have 3 YA books. First up, A Heart in the Body of the World by Deb Coletti. This is a book about a character named Annabelle who is running. She decides to run across the country pretty much, and basically her grandfather follows her in an RV where she'll run every day, then take a break at night. She's running to DC for something, and I really do feel like this is a hard book. Okay, it's an intense book because you don't know exactly what she's running from. Something in her life has happened to her, very traumatic, very, very hard hitting. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but I feel like I should tell you because of it could be triggering, especially right now in this world. Basically, a school shooting happened to Annabelle, and she saw some of her friends die, and so she is running across the country to maybe go to DC to like make a difference. And especially what just happened like not too long ago, it's a very important book to read. It's a very hard-hitting book, and it's a very sad book that this is a work of fiction, but it's very much a reality nowadays, and it's very, very sad. Like I can't express in words. We all know how we feel about this. So to have this in a book, it's a very important book. I recommend everyone to read it, even if you don't love YA books. It's beautifully written. It's all about Annabelle and her journey of going through this physically with how she's running, and also with just dealing with PTSD of things that happen to her and her friends, and seeing things and dealing with this. It's just something that a teenager should never have to deal with, that children should never have to deal with, but here we are. So, such an impactful book, such a very, very sad book. Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I love this book. This book is told in verse, and it basically follows two characters, one named Camino, one named Yahara. They both live in very different places. Yahara lives in New York, and Camino lives in Dominican Republic, and she looks forward to every year when her father comes to visit because she doesn't have her mother anymore. It's just her and her grandmother. And Yahara gets sad because every summer her dad goes away for like a month, like for business. If you can't put two and two together, these two characters share the same dad. They don't know that. They don't know that they exist. So basically in this book, at the very beginning, we learn that their dad has passed away on the flight going to the Dominican Republic. And this is based on a real story of a real flight that did happen, and a lot of people lost their lives. And so basically this whole book is about them meeting, learning that they're sisters, learning that each of them had this life with their dad that they never even knew about with each other. And they both are very different, but they're very similar. And it's a very sad book with the death of their father, with them coming from very different backgrounds. And it's a very impactful book. Again, much like this one, just because it's YA, if you don't love YA, both of these are must reads in my opinion. Love them both. Both are very sad. Last book I want to talk about is You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So if you've heard of that author, she has really made a name for herself with adult romance. But before she was in adult romance, she was into YA contemporary books, and more particularly YA sad books. So this book is about two twins. In this book, they learn that their mother has Huntington's disease and that it's hereditary, and that there's a blood test that you can figure out if you're going to inherit this disease or not. And in this book, we learn that one of the twins has it and the other one doesn't, and kind of how it affects their life going forward. And it's a sad book because of that subject matter, that their mother has this disease and that one of them are going to have it. Also with the twins, they are not close. They used to be best friends. They're sisters, you know, they're twins, but something has driven them apart. And so they have to learn kind of how to get back to that. So this book is sad on all fronts. I loved it. It was my very first Rachel Lynn Solomon book, the first book she wrote, and I loved it because it was hard hitting. It was sad. It was depressing, quite honestly, but it was an amazing book, and I would highly recommend it. So there you have my list of sad books. Books that'll just make you sob buckets of tears.
And today I'm the age you were when you left.
Make you think about, like, why did I read this sad book? Yes, it was amazing, but it was also sad. But that's just how it is. Sometimes, like I said, I crave books like this, and a lot of times I do not. But either way, I wanted to give you kind of just some books that are exactly that are sad but amazing. I would love to know if you have any recommendations for just super sad books that you love, but you know, you have to be in the right headspace for. I would love to hear. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.